Jinta awoke in an unfamiliar place, seated quietly on a chair within a serene celestial garden. He recalled the truth: his life had ended suddenly in an accident during his commute. A blonde girl with striking blue eyes appeared, examining a document with calm authority. As he sat in silence, she approached him with a mix of formality and purpose. She introduced herself as Leifa, the goddess, who decides the fate of departed souls. Jinta listened as the options for the afterlife were explained, including reincarnation or being sent to another world. Leifa confirmed his death, showing official records that left no room for denial. Upon realizing the truth, Jinta erupted with excitement, startling everyone with his reaction. He celebrated the end of his work life, thrilled by the freedom that awaited him. Ignoring the stares, he shouted with joy, eager to leave behind his miserable job and boss. She calmly informed Jinta that his destination had been chosen. He was bound for heaven. Unwilling to accept that, he quickly requested rebirth into another world instead, dismissing the idea of nirvana. With sudden determination, he leaned forward and declared that his goal was absolute. His dream was clear: to charm countless girls and build a grand harem in the new world. Flustered Leifa tried to regain composure, insisting that his plan needed more substance than just that. Visions of glory filled his mind. Fame, wealth, and triumph danced before a cheering crowd. Clenching his fists with conviction, he vowed to seize everything he had missed in his past life. Leifa burst into uncontrollable laughter, overwhelmed by the absurdity of his ambitions. Despite her protests, he insisted he'd thrive, while she joked that he might reincarnate as a tissue. Her patience thinned as she waved him off, reminding him she wasn't available for his fantasies. Shouting in frustration, he slammed his emotions into the room, demanding his dream be taken seriously. Grabbing Leifa in desperation, he begged to be sent to another world, despite her immediate refusal. His threats turned bizarre and inappropriate, causing her to panic and plead for him to calm down. She warned of the dangers, explaining that sending someone randomly could lead to disaster. Ignoring reason, he pressed on, eyeing the button for reincarnation while she panicked at his persistence. Frustration boiling over, he lunged forward, threatening to take matters into his own hands. His fingers brushed her chest, only to realize nothing was there, leaving both of them stunned. In his mind, he imagined a voluptuous goddess, but reality shattered that dream instantly. She buried her face in embarrassment while he whined about fairness and accused her of hiding. Clinging desperately, he declared his search must go on, while she exploded in a flustered tantrum. In the chaos, Leifa's foot accidentally slammed the button that triggered the reincarnation system. A bright magical portal opened beneath them, pulling both into a spiral of light and symbols. Shock spread across their faces as they realized they were both being drawn in together. His status screen appeared, revealing an abnormally high luck stat as gears turned in motion. The system confirmed it. Another world reincarnation had officially begun for the two of them. Jinta and Leifa were pulled through space as his stats revealed an extraordinary maxed-out luck value. Thrown into a field of rubble, Jinta crashed hard onto the rocky ground, stunned by the sudden appearance of creatures soaring through the sky. Above, massive dragons flew in wide circles, casting long shadows across a world he had never seen before. Sitting down to gather his thoughts, he questioned whether this sudden arrival truly counted as reincarnation. A goblin twitched beneath him, defeated and crushed, as he awkwardly realized he had landed directly on the creature's back. Jinta leapt away from the lifeless goblin he had accidentally crushed during his unexpected arrival. He picked up a strange silver stone, puzzled by its glow, while noticing a mysterious status screen lingering before him. Curious, he examined the numbers and realized his luck stat was abnormal. As he stood, a loud scream echoed behind him. Out of nowhere, a girl came crashing down from the sky, landing directly on top of him with explosive force. Amid falling debris, Jinta and the girl landed hard, tangled together in a painful heap. Looking up, the girl noticed Jinta nearby, her expression shifting from confusion to surprise. Seated on the grass, she confessed her inability to contact the celestial realm, hinting at a deeper problem. Attempts to send messages had failed completely. Jinta questioned if forcing his transfer had triggered an unusual bug. When his stats appeared in the air, his outrageous luck value left her stunned. Jinta leaned back, startled, as the girl moved close, inspecting him with serious eyes. Frustration grew when she realized she couldn't see his stats, something a goddess should easily do. Confused by the anomaly, Jinta suggested it might be another bug caused by his unusual transfer. She broke down in panic, unsure how to return, blaming him for triggering the situation. Eventually, her anger softened. Jinta apologized, admitting he never meant to drag her into it. Jinta asked what she intended to do next, but the girl, frustrated, said she no longer cared. Regaining composure, she believed help would eventually arrive and told him not to worry. With calm resolve, she suggested he chase his own goals while she waited. Considering her situation, Jinta invited her to join him instead of staying idle. He wanted to take responsibility, offering her a way to make things right together. Jinta offered to stay with her, suggesting she might pull him along when help finally arrived. She hesitated for a moment, then gave a quiet, uncertain reply, leaving her options open. With a calm smile, Jinta admitted he couldn't leave a crying girl behind, even if it wasn't part of his plan. Embarrassed, she denied ever crying, trying to defend her pride. Finally, she agreed to accompany him, deciding to stay by his side for now. Lifa smiled with playful interest, curious about how Jinta planned to make amends for involving her. Without hesitation, she officially joined his party, surprising Jinta with her sudden enthusiasm. Jinta stepped forward in the unfamiliar world, introducing himself to the girl who greeted him. She smiled warmly and introduced herself as Lifa, cheerful and welcoming despite the situation. While they walked, Lifa mentioned Jinta's extraordinary luck just for being near her. Lifa paused, pondering aloud whether it was because she was cute. Flustered by her own words, she panicked, overwhelmed by embarrassment and confusion. Overflowing with pride, Lifa claimed to know everything about the world, from geography to monsters. With a casual gesture, she pointed out a small town in the distance. Striking a confident pose, she reminded him of her divine status and urged him to ask anything. Instead of a question, a playful remark caught her off guard as he presented a strange item. Eyes narrowed, she studied the object in his palm with a puzzled look. A quick glance at the crystal revealed it as a magical item known as a core, dropped by monsters. Lefa's expression twisted in shock upon realizing its silver hue, a rarity among cores. While she explained its ranking, disbelief set in as she learned he had found it by accident. Its value, she estimated, would easily reach 100,000 rin or more. Frustrated by his indifference, she urged him to appreciate his absurd luck. Defeating monsters non-stop, she explained how rare it was to find a core worth so much without weeks in a dungeon. With a smile, he offered to cover her needs so she wouldn't have to rough it outdoors anymore. Gratitude lit up her face as she accepted the kindness. Hesitating briefly, he shifted plans and agreed to head toward town with her. They walked together, her cheerful voice promising to teach him about the item box. Tall gates welcomed them as they finally reached their destination after the journey. Excitement bubbled up as the view of Hohin unfolded before their eyes. Bustling streets, colorful stalls, and lively chatter made the town feel vibrant and full of charm. A bell rang overhead while they stepped out of the shop. Their business concluded. Money in hand, joy filled him proof. They had truly sold the valuable core. Counting his earnings, he celebrated how accurate Lifa's estimation had been. Her teasing remark caught him off guard, leaving him flustered and defensive. Before finding an inn, a loud scene nearby grabbed their attention. Two men argued near a strange machine as Lefa explained it was a type of item, gacha. Inside the machine, random cores rolled, each color tied to a different prize depending on luck. Luck was clearly the key, as he realized the gacha machine gave out random items based purely on chance. While some rewards gleamed with promise, most turned out to be worthless junk. Getting anything worthwhile required incredible fortune, and the odds were not in anyone's favor. Still, hope flickered as he smiled, believing luck might just be on his side. Ignoring her concern, he stepped forward, determined to try at least once. Cost didn't faze him, even after she warned he'd probably pull junk from the gacha. Confidently brushing aside her concerns, he reassured her, unaware of how dangerously addictive it could become. Despite the risks, he felt secure after all. A goddess was by his side. Her annoyed gaze followed as he strolled toward the counter, eager and naive. Calmly, he requested a single spin, ignoring the tempting bulk offer presented to him. Strangers encouraged him to spend more, insisting he'd be back for more spins anyway. Despite the pressure, he stood firm and requested only one try. With a nod, the clerk accepted his decision, while others watched with hopeful envy. Turning the lever, he silently wished for luck as the capsule dropped into his hand. A shocking result stunned everyone. The summoned creature's stats were impossibly high. Beyond normal comprehension, bells rang out as the clerk shouted the special prize had appeared. Eyes wide, he raised the capsule, grinning in disbelief at his outrageous luck. Gasps echoed around as she confirmed it was a rainbow core, the rarest of all. Chains rattled deep within the machine as the legendary weapon, Leviatine, unlocked. Cheering together, they celebrated the unbelievable moment. Leviatine was officially his. News of a legendary sword, Leviatine, spreads across the tavern. Patrons speak in awe of the one who drew it from the gacha. Jinta and his companion review the weapon's stats. It is a SSSR tier blade said to slay demon gods. He's shocked by its value worth hundreds of millions. Tempted, he hesitates to sell. They discuss, testing it, unsure if he can wield it like the hero of old despite danger from thieves. The girl advises selling. The waitress delivered their dessert, a chilled dish called ice panego, catching their curiosity. Delighted by the familiar flavor, the girl lit up, happily confirming it was exactly what she remembered. Outside, night settled over the inn, wrapping the town in quiet. Stuffed and satisfied, she collapsed onto the bed while praising the meal. Unable to return to the celestial realm, she decided to stay with Jinta for now. Jinta was asked about his future, prompting him to consider a path forward. He reflected on the adventurer role, thinking it might be the fastest route to gain status. Despite the dangers, he embraced the risk, motivated by his own goals. The girl reassured him, vowing to keep them safe from harm as long as she was there. Determined, she promised to guide him and share her knowledge of this world. Lifa proudly revealed herself to be level 999, calling herself the strongest goddess, though her stat said otherwise. Startled, Jinta questioned the truth, smacking the status board for confirmation. She tumbled to the floor, visibly shaken from the impact. Clutching her head, Lifa groaned, confused by the overwhelming damage. Jinta assumed it was a bug from the transfer, while Lifa sulked, turning her back in frustration. Unable to sleep, Jinta left his room, offering an excuse to the innkeeper on his way out. Back in the room, Lifa mumbled in her sleep, while Jinta struggled to relax beside her. He stepped into the night, claiming he was just out for a short stroll. Finding the streets quiet, he noticed a dozing guard and decided to test Levatine. Out in the open field, he summoned the sword using his item box. Impressed by its utility, Jinta gripped the legendary sword and tested its weight. Despite doubts, it responded smoothly to his touch. Curious about its power, he recalled the skills attached to it and selected one to try. Unsure of the proper method, he aimed at a rock and activated the ability. Magical energy surged around him, glowing symbols forming beneath his feet. A massive dark wave exploded forward. His first spell, Dark Filament, had launched. Jinta watched the aftermath of his spell, surprised by how easily the magic had activated. A deafening roar followed, revealing a massive beast rising from the shattered ground. The creature lay defeated, the terrain torn apart by the devastating impact. He realized the target hadn't been a rock at all, but a monster eliminated in a single strike. Jinta accidentally slays a massive behemoth with a single strike, stunned by the sheer power of his newly drawn sword. A faint glimmer appears among the smoke and rubble, catching his attention. He approaches and finds a silver core, along with valuable monster parts, horn and scale, contemplating their worth. Later that night, he returns to town under glowing lamplight, goods in hand, exhausted. He reflects on his drained magic, vowing to manage it better next time. Lifa stood quietly by the window, her expression tense, cheeks stained with faint tears she tried to hide. Jinta entered and was met with frustration as she scolded him, her emotions unraveling. She explained her fear of abandonment, having assumed he had left without a word. Embarrassed by her own feelings, she denied crying, while Jinta teased her lightly. Eventually, she made him promise never to leave unannounced again. Lifa lost her balance and stumbled into Jinta, sending them both tumbling onto the bed in an awkward embrace. Frozen in place, they stared at each other, eyes wide as surprise turned into silence. Flustered, she jumped up, stammering apologies, cheeks burning with embarrassment. Overwhelmed, she collapsed onto the bed, dizzy and red-faced from confusion. Later, they lay in separate beds, quietly pretending nothing had happened. She recalled her fears from the previous night, still uncertain whether Jinta had truly meant to leave her. Understanding her worry, Jinta acknowledged how frightening the sudden world shift and power reset must have been for her. A new day began, quiet and peaceful, as the sun lit the inn's wooden walls. Still groggy, Lifa slowly sat up, her mind clouded by mixed memories. Avoiding eye contact, Jinta awkwardly dodged her question, masking his own embarrassment. Morning light filtered through the window as Lifa smiled brightly, expressing her resolve with confidence. Across the room, surprise flashed in his eyes as she declared her intention to support his journey. Living without purpose didn't sit right with her, especially while being helped so often. Hearing her determination, he relaxed, acknowledging her value in navigating the unfamiliar world. Without hesitation, she reached out, grabbing his hand to seal her promise. Smiling with energy, she extended her hand and proposed they work hard together from now on. His unexpected achievement shocked her. Defeating a behemoth wasn't something a beginner could manage alone. Even elite monster hunting unions had failed, making his feat hard to believe. Holding the horn in her hands, she gasped, stunned by the size and weight of the evidence. With a calm grin, he explained it was simply magic drawn from his sword. After experimenting with the sword's magic, he casually mentioned its explosive effect with a shrug. Confused by how he could wield a weapon known to resist others, she suggested selling the monster parts. Shock crossed the shopkeeper's face upon hearing he had slain a behemoth alone. Though skeptical, she acknowledged the materials were genuine but insisted on official guild processing. With a wink, she handed him an appraisal report to support the quest submission. Lifa casually suggested a wardrobe update, catching him off guard with the comment. She pointed out his lingering burnt smell, teasing him while offering to make him look more presentable. After a change, he stepped out in sleek new clothes, drawing praise from everyone around. Trying to hide his awkwardness, he asked for opinions, unsure how he looked, though the outfit improved. The scent still lingered, causing more laughter than admiration. Lifa finally admitted her thoughts, quietly calling his appearance cool as she avoided his eyes. Hearing her words, he scratched his head in embarrassment, unsure how to respond. Their exchange caught the attention of others nearby, drawing amused reactions from the shopkeeper. Outside, curious onlookers noticed the sword he carried, murmuring in awe at its striking design. Jinta stood before the lake, where the gacha fountain burst with radiant stats. HP, MP, and int rose drastically, far above normal. Others were stunned. Defeating a behemoth alone was strange, but the sword's tenfold stats were beyond belief. Lifa explained the sword's base power. Yet, when Jinta held it, the stats surged unnaturally. They theorized his broken luck attribute warped the equipment's potential. Though confused, Jinta returned the sword, its energy too unstable to bear. When asked about the next step, Lifa revealed she had a destination in mind. They arrived at a cheerful shop, greeted warmly by the smiling clerk behind the counter. Lifa pointed excitedly to a listing, a lakeside house she had been eyeing since yesterday. Though Jinta hesitated, she pleaded with hopeful eyes, urging him to try once. Reluctantly, he agreed. Lifa's joy instantly filled the air. Just before the attempt, he offered to boost his luck. She recoiled, flustered by the idea. Confidence surged as she rejected any aid, eager to prove her own power. Minutes passed, and frustration built. Desperation slipped through her voice with each failed draw. From her arms spilled useless items, rocks, sticks, even a used tissue, while complaints flew. Suspicion grew. He questioned whether she simply got addicted to the gacha. A compromise was suggested if all they wanted was the house. Anyone could draw for it. She hesitated, but agreed. Even so, anxiety bubbled up at the idea of not being the one to win it herself. Fears spilled out, imagining cruel words about ownership if things went wrong. A promise was made: no matter who won, they would stay together, side by side. Embarrassed but smiling, she softly accepted. Caught off guard, he panicked when the clerk offered congratulations. His reaction only raised more suspicion. Recognition set in as the woman recalled their previous visit. She cheerfully praised his beginner's luck. Treeing once, she explained, was typical for newcomers, especially those aiming for something like a lakeside house. Without hesitation, he handed over payment, stating it was for someone dear. Smiling, she warned beginner's luck rarely strikes twice. Confidence brimmed as he requested a single pull, determined to win through sheer effort. Encouraged by the clerk's cheer, he reaffirmed his belief that he could do it again. Support poured in from behind, but he stayed focused, reaching calmly toward the capsule. Worried glances exchanged between staff. Another miracle would leave the prize pool empty. As the capsule opened, silence fell. Their stunned faces said it all. He examined the capsule, unsure of its contents. A yellowish rock left him doubting the result. Excitement spread when someone identified it as the gold prize, causing a stir around him. He offered the capsule to the stunned clerk, who froze in disbelief at the result. The announcement confirmed it: Lakeside House acquired. Shock overwhelmed the clerk, leaving her unconscious. After winning a luxurious house, Jinta and Lifa prepared for their next journey. The coachman mentioned the route had once been blocked by a fearsome dragon named Behemoth, making it treacherous until just recently. Curious, Jinta asked about the change, learning the beast had mysteriously vanished during the night. Grinning, he glanced at Lifa, amused by the unexpected revelation. Struggling to stay upright, Lifa confessed she wasn't handling the bumpy ride well. Lifa clung to the side of the carriage, pale and dizzy. The rough ride was taking a toll, despite their short time on the road. Suddenly, the cart jolted violently. Jinta and the driver snapped to attention as something startled the horse. A group of armed villagers blocked the path, demanding someone step out of the cart. Jinta emerged cautiously, met with unsettling laughter and suspicious stares, revealing they'd seen Jinta's gacha win and claimed the prize ahead of him. Jinta confronted the intruders, assuming they were after his newly won property. One man scoffed, dismissing the house entirely. Instead, their eyes were on something more valuable, the legendary sword at Jinta's side, a rare and powerful relic. The thugs spoke of its worth, revealing they'd been watching him closely. One of them grabbed Leifa, boasting about her looks. Their leader leered, making disturbing remarks, clearly underestimating the danger of provoking Jinta. Leader approached Leifa, amused by her glare despite her seasick state. His interest in her only grew without hesitation. He made a decision. Leifa was dragged off while she weakly protested, the rough handling, turning back to Jinta. He abruptly changed his demands, now wanting the house too. He claimed the location's isolation made it ideal for his plans, smirking confidently. With mock reassurance, he promised Leifa would be well taken care of, igniting silent fury in Jinta. Jinta admitted he had briefly considered surrendering the sword to end the conflict peacefully. Instead, he smiled confidently and refused their demands outright, calling them fools. With his weapon drawn, he took a firm stance, warning them not to underestimate him. The bandits tried to stay composed, brushing off his threat despite Leifa's worried voice, mocking the sword's worth. The leader called it junk moments before something unexpected began to happen. With a single swing, Jinta unleashed a devastating slash that ripped the air apart. A powerful wave surged forward, hurling enemies aside and carving deep into the earth as Jinta declared his defiance. When the dust settled, the battlefield lay in ruins, with the attackers strewn across the ground. Jinta blinked. Surprised the sword's light swing caused such destruction, tauntingly, he reminded the trembling thugs of their earlier threats as they fled in panic. The defeated thugs scrambled away, shouting apologies as they vanished into the distance, leaving silence behind. Jinta turned to check on Leifa, only to find her unusually quiet. Tears welled in her eyes, a delayed reaction to the fear and tension that had overwhelmed her earlier. Sitting beneath a tree, Jinta gently reassured her as she quietly admitted her fear, though stubbornly denying it aloud. With a tired sigh, he smiled, half exasperated by her pride. Despite everything, Jinta firmly declared he'd never hand over the house or Leifa to the likes of those thugs. Leifa stared at him in stunned silence, cheeks flushed as emotion overwhelmed her. She accepted his hand with a quiet, "Thank you," her voice trembling. As they prepared to leave, Jinta promised a gentler ride, while Leifa groaned at the memory. While exploring deep in the forest, they came across a secluded log house just as described. Inside, warm sunlight streamed across polished wood floors, and a fully furnished kitchen gleamed in the corner. Her eyes sparkled with joy. This was exactly the kind of home she had always dreamed of living in. Leaning out the window, she took in the fresh forest air and the serene view beyond the trees. Jinta noticed something unexpected outside. The peaceful moment was disrupted when a massive dragon emerged from the forest and approached the house. Roaring loudly, the dragon bared its teeth, panicked. The girl urged Jinta to act. Calmly stepping outside, Jinta assessed the threat. The dragon was a level 16 child. She was stunned to learn he had already reached level 18 in such a short time. Though he hesitated to fight a child, letting it attack them wasn't an option. Jinta raised his sword ready to strike, but the dragon suddenly dropped flat on the ground. The fierce tension vanished in an instant. Instead of resisting, the creature rolled over calmly, confusing Jinta with its unexpected behavior. He tried communicating, but the dragon's gestures only deepened the misunderstanding. Its gaze no longer held any threat, leaving Jinta puzzled about its true intentions. From the balcony, the girl shouted down sarcastically, provoking Jinta into a flustered outburst. To their surprise, the dragon's position resembled one of submission. The girl recognized it as a sign of fealty. When asked how it happened, Jinta admitted he had no idea what he'd done to earn it. A theory emerged: perhaps the dragon mistook his fire for something maternal. Jinta crouched to speak gently. The dragon gave a small cry, possibly answering his question. With uncertainty lingering, the girl quietly wondered what they should do with their unexpected guest. Observing the calm dragon, they agreed it seemed harmless. She even found it somewhat cute, unable to hide her eagerness. The girl wondered aloud what to do, clearly wanting to keep it. Jinta hesitated, but eventually allowed it at least until they could find its family. With a bright smile, she welcomed the dragon, who quietly accepted her affection. Their preparations complete, the trio declared their new start as proper adventurers with a dragon companion. Jinta woke up in an unfamiliar bed, staring blankly at the ceiling, confused and still processing his surroundings. He slowly turned his head and realized Lifa was sleeping beside him, sharing the same blanket. Memories of the previous day returned. They cleaned the house, explored the forest, and worked alongside the dragon. Night came, and they stood in silence, unsure of what to do next. With only one bed available, they reluctantly shared it. Lifa suggested they could share the bed, insisting it was spacious enough. Jinta hesitated, stunned by the idea of sleeping beside her. She averted her gaze, flustered, as the weight of the suggestion caught up with her. Later that night, she lay embarrassed, blaming him for her emotional state and demanding responsibility. Jinta could barely comprehend how things had escalated so quickly. In truth, nothing actually happened. As soon as they lay down, Lifa fell asleep peacefully, while Jinta stared into the dim room, unable to rest. He sat up slowly, sighing in defeat as he whispered frustration at how easily she affected him. Morning came, and Lifa woke up, yawning, casually announcing her hunger without a care. Delighted by the panegos Jinta had gathered, she eagerly prepared to eat. Nearby, their baby fire dragon, Haichin, watched sleepily under the morning sun. While having breakfast, Jinta brought up their plans for the day, prompting Lifa to listen with mild curiosity. She grew excited, mistakenly thinking he wanted to try gacha again, but he clarified he needed to return to town. They had forgotten to report the behemoth's defeat due to recent events surrounding the house. Realizing this, they agreed to visit the guild to finalize the paperwork. Knowing it was a long walk, they hurried to leave before it got too late. Hai perked up as Jinta and Lifa approached, her behavior hinting at something unexpected. To their surprise, she offered them a ride. Both quickly climbed on, grateful for her help. They set off toward Hohin, but quickly realized Hai couldn't fly. Even so, her speed impressed them. While riding, they discussed her growth, noting she'd likely learn flight. Soon Lifa, queasy from the ride, struggled to hold in her breakfast. At the town gate, Jinta and Lifa approached the guards, politely requesting entry. However, the sight of Hiei looming behind them left the guards stunned, and Tent standing calmly in front of the dragon. Jinta repeated the request to enter the town. One guard, clearly shaken, denied them access with trembling words. Realizing the issue, Jinta asked Hiei to wait outside for a while. Before leaving, the guards nervously offered Hai a panego, asking her to behave while waiting. Curious and cautious, they questioned if Jinta could actually command a dragon, something unheard of. One guard observed her closely, doubting if such a young creature could understand human speech, but Hiei quickly proved she could by igniting a soldier's hair in response to an insult. As they walked through town, Lifa explained why dragons were feared as humanity's natural enemy, reflecting on their arrival. Jinta realized that bringing a dragon into town might have been a bit reckless. Lifa teased him for showing off, claiming he only wanted to look cool in front of others. He tried to play it off but got a mouthful of mumbled protests in return. She then pointed out the guild's location right next to the item gacha parlor. Jinta asked about it, but Lifa quickly brushed the topic aside, flustered. While passing by the gacha parlor, Jinta casually suggested they take a quick look inside. They noticed the prize quality seemed lower than usual, dampening the excitement a bit. Trying to hide his disappointment, Jinta started tearing up quietly. Lifa panicked, rushing to comfort him and promising he could play just once. Just then, a young girl nearby began crying, catching their attention. Noticing the young girl, Jinta questioned why a child would be in a gambling parlor, prompting Lifa to suggest asking her directly. Lifa kindly introduced herself and asked for the girl's name, learning it was Ariely. Ariely admitted she was crying because she desperately wanted a prize from the gacha machine. Despite repeated attempts, she only received junk instead. Moved by her struggle, Lifa hugged her tightly in sympathy. Ariely pointed to a prized bow named Yoichi, the item she desperately wished to win. When asked if it was a gift, she explained it once belonged to her late father. He had died fighting a behemoth long before Jinta arrived in this world. The bow, lost in battle, had eventually fallen into someone else's hands. After searching tirelessly, Ariely found it now locked behind a gacha machine. Jinta boldly declared he'd win the bow, confident in his absurdly lucky gacha success rate. He entered the gacha parlor with determination. His goal clear, the grand prize awaited him. Lafayette, full of confidence, proudly presented the SR Gold Core for the legendary bow, seeking revenge for yesterday's failure. The result was catastrophic. Trash items exploded around her, and her pride crumbled amid useless fluff. Frustration rose, declaring the machine cursed. She clung to her final capsule with trembling hands. Tearfully, she celebrated her first real win, a meal ticket. Lafayette leapt into Jinta's arms, overflowing with pride as her success was celebrated by the group. Without hesitation, she dashed off with Ariely, eager to enjoy a feast. using her hard-won reward. The girls sent Jinta off with cheerful encouragement, their energy leaving him no room to protest. He smiled and gave a thumbs up, masking his slight irritation with practiced confidence. Arriving at the parlor, Jinta was greeted warmly but stood stunned before an enormous gacha machine. Jinta pointed out the absurd size of the machine, clearly preferring something more standard. Suspicious of its contents, he questioned its legality, suspecting the machine was loaded with duds. To his dismay, the staff revealed new countermeasures, hinting he might be one of the targets. Though conflicted, he accepted the restriction, weighed down by guilt and silent laughter from the clerks. Still with quiet resolve, he stepped forward and agreed to play despite the ridiculous odds. Despite warnings of thousands of dummy capsules, Jinta confirmed that real prizes still existed within the mix. With a confident smile, he declared his intent to play, showing no hesitation. Even under pressure, he stood firm, driven by a reason he couldn't ignore. Meanwhile, LaFace and Ariely relaxed by the fountain, placing their faith in Jinta's unmatched luck. Moments later, he returned quietly, drawing curious eyes as they awaited the result of his gamble. Back at the parlor, the stunned clerks were left speechless. Jinta's actions had clearly crossed a line. Unbothered, he returned with the legendary bow in hand, casually offering it to Ariely. Her eyes widened with recognition as she held it close. It was her father's treasured weapon. Emotions swelled as she turned toward LaFace, overwhelmed by the gift's meaning. Clutching the bow tightly, Ariely smiled through tears and offered Jinta a heartfelt thank you. They waved farewell as Ariely headed off, her bow now secured. Jinta voiced concern, but LaFace assured him that elves like Ariely were powerful magic users. They suddenly remembered their original mission, realizing they had gotten completely sidetracked. The boy stepped into the bustling Adventurers Guild, scanning the bulletin board while others milled about, submitting or checking quests. Behind the counter, a clerk named Carla Milan prepared his identification card. She handed over a freshly stamped proof of membership with a confident smile. He received the card, eyes shining with excitement, now officially recognized as an adventurer. His companion watched quietly beside him. The clerk glanced at the girl, asking if she wished to register. Calmly, she declined the offer. With a proud pose, she revealed her divine nature. There was no need for registration, she was a goddess. Carla responded with a knowing smile. At the counter, the boy confirmed his reason for visiting, submitting a report for slaying the behemoth. Surprised, the clerk assumed there were multiple adventurers involved. When asked if he had done it alone, the boy appeared confused. Unaware of the need for a party, he presented materials dropped by the behemoth. The clerk inspected the horn, stunned by its authenticity. Another guild official reviewed the documents. With a sharp tone, she confirmed the items were genuine, citing the appraiser's flawless record and reputation. Overwhelmed, the clerk could barely speak. To defeat such a beast alone was unthinkable. Yet, the evidence in front of her left no room for doubt. The girl asked if the behemoth proof was enough to qualify for the reward. The clerk hesitated, then confirmed there would be no problem with the claim. However, the guild couldn't issue any payment since the quest wasn't officially posted. As the boy pondered the client's name, a group of adventurers suddenly surrounded him. They praised his feat, offered him positions, and sought autographs. Another group of women approached with flirtatious offers, suggesting he join them instead. Their charm overwhelmed him. Still undecided, he found himself surrounded again. More adventurers requested he accompany them on a dungeon trip. Jinta voiced concern about the client, but the girl insisted they proceed, claiming she knew him personally. While they moved through town, she explained the client was part of an elven family from the northern forest. Jinta looked worried. She denied being upset, though her expression said otherwise. Others nearby quietly agreed she was definitely sulking, despite her claims. While soaring across the sky on his dragon, the boy was clearly irritated, though he denied it. His companion remained confused by the mood. Down below, he spotted a familiar figure, an elf girl in distress, frozen in fear, as a monster approached from the shadows. Without hesitation, he dove in. The dragon landed abruptly, sending shockwaves. The girl collapsed in surprise, tumbling onto the ground. After helping her up, he asked about her village. She confirmed it lay deep in the forest where her people lived. She recognized their destination and offered to guide them, knowing the paths well. With a smile, she agreed to lead the way. Jinta and his companions arrived at Livov's clan village, a peaceful settlement surrounded by trees and stone paths. Grateful for her guidance, Jinta thanked Ellie warmly. Surrounded by elves, he admired the village's serene atmosphere. Ellie cheerfully prepared to go home, excited to show her new bow to her mother. Jinta noted the red-roofed house as the chief's home. Before leaving, Ellie called Jinta over. urging him to crouch down so she could reach him properly. With a gentle gesture, Ellie gave him her father's bow, smiling. She thanked him one last time for everything. Without warning, Ellie leaned in and gently kissed Jinta on the cheek, catching him completely off guard. With a bright smile, she waved farewell, cheerfully calling out to both Jinta and his companion before skipping away. Stunned by the sudden kiss, Jinta stood speechless, while the blonde girl beside him stared in disbelief, her expression frozen in shock elsewhere. A lazy creature napped peacefully outside a quiet house, unaware of the approaching visitors who had just arrived. Inside, they were greeted by Quina, the village chief's daughter. She welcomed them politely and asked them to wait for her father. Jinta quietly observed Quina, impressed by her beauty as she moved through the room with elegance and grace. She poured tea with a gentle smile, asking how much milk he preferred. Her presence both calm and disarming. With a straight face, Jinta requested extra milk, unintentionally flustering his companion, who reacted with visible embarrassment. Moments later, Quina leaned forward and inquired if Jinta was an adventurer. He confirmed, explaining he had come to report a completed quest. Nodding slowly, she acknowledged his identity. Her tone shifted, now recognizing that Jinta was the one they had been expecting. Quina smiled in relief just as her father entered the room, apologizing politely for making them wait. Introducing himself with dignity, the elder elf revealed his name: Levov, chief of the village. He addressed Jinta directly, noting that he had already received word from the guild regarding his recent actions. Wasting no time, Jinta responded calmly, requesting they discuss rewards immediately, showing his practical mindset. While Quina stood by, the chief explained the importance of the behemoth's defeat, a long-held wish of their clan now fulfilled. With a confident smile, the village chief hinted at a special reward for the one who fulfilled their wish. He declared that his beloved daughter, Quina, would be given to Jinta as a gift, catching everyone off guard. Shock rippled through the room as both Jinta and his companion tried to process the unexpected offer of marriage. Confused, Jinta hesitated, but the chief insisted. He praised Quina's skills and readiness to become the wife of an adventurer. Stepping forward with determination, Quina pledged herself to Jinta, vowing to serve and support him with all her strength. Jinta was overwhelmed by the sudden turn of events, realizing even his bride possessed the same unbelievable luck as him. The mighty Elvavov clan once resisted a behemoth that devastated their homeland. Despite their bravery, they were no match. Many perished, including a girl named Ellie's father. The survivors fled, finding safety in a foreign land. One woman, hardened by loss, resolved to wait for the one who could defeat the behemoth. Her purpose became clear. In a surprising declaration, a nobleman demanded that Quina be chosen as the bride, catching everyone off guard. They recalled how their downfall began with surrender. To prevent history repeating, they needed greater power. Then all eyes turned to Jinta. Visions of a future where Jinta raised a strong family circulated among the clan. To them, his bloodline promised strength and hope. Among the nobles, whispers turned to declarations. One elder expressed delight that his daughter favored Jinta, stirring uneasy reactions. Though caught off guard, Jinta was encouraged to include Quina in his party. Rather than rush into marriage, an engagement was proposed. Faced with sincere expectations, Jinta accepted the role with a firm voice, surprising those around him. As the father gave his blessing, Jinta pledged to protect Quina, while she stood speechless in disbelief. While walking with Quina and the princess, Jinta struggled to address them properly. Quina eagerly dismissed formality, clinging closer with a smile. Claiming the role of his wife, Quina beamed with pride. Meanwhile, the princess, confused and flustered, questioned her meaning. With rising tension, the princess sulked, unsure of her place. Jinta tried to defuse the situation, denying any unfair arrangements. A simple question about Quina's relationship with Jinta left her startled. The princess hesitated, unsure how to define herself. Without warning, Jinta answered for her, calling her mom. The girls reacted in shock, especially the princess. Quina boldly declared she could win Jinta's heart, no matter the rival. Her confidence sparked a tense exchange with the princess. Jinta, puzzled by the possessiveness, questioned when he became someone's property. Both girls flustered, scrambling to explain themselves. The princess, frustrated, confronted Jinta about his closeness with Quina. Her tone betrayed a deeper feeling beneath the surface. Though trying to hide it, she admitted she wasn't upset, just pretending to be happy for him. Redirecting the mood, Jinta proposed a new quest to Logro, suggesting they retrieve someone named Hai along the way. Upon reaching Logro, the group admired the bustling cityscape. Its scale far surpassed their previous destination. Jinta's stomach growled, prompting Lifa to offer directions to the guild. while another asked if he was hungry. 2 restaurant options were suggested, one known for meat, the other for fish. Both girls grabbed his arms, each pushing their preference. Tension quickly rose, and neither was willing to compromise. Sarcastic remarks followed, urging each other to dine alone. Trying to ease the moment, Jinta chose meat. He asked Lifa to lead, and she proudly accepted with a bright smile. After choosing Lifa's restaurant, Jinta apologized to Quina. Lifa beamed, pleased with his decision, while Quina accepted it quietly. As they settled in, Lifa attempted to feed Jinta directly, embarrassed. She insisted she could eat by herself. During the meal, Quina flirted openly with Jinta. His face turned red, too flustered to even enjoy the food, while Lifa silently fumed. Noticing Lifa's silence, Jinta asked why she remained quiet. She responded by robotically repeating his name while eating. Quina teased her, suggesting she wanted Jinta's affection too. Caught off guard, Lifa denied it, trembling and shouting in protest. Lifa hesitantly accepted a bite from Jinta, though blushing. She responded to his gesture with unexpected shyness. Flustered by the experience, she admitted she couldn't even remember the taste. Embarrassment overwhelmed her senses. Quina teasingly pointed out Lifa's red cheeks, calling her shy. Jinta tried to downplay it, but Lifa snapped in protest. While eating together, the girls began understanding one another. Despite their rivalry, a quiet bond started to form. Quina reassured Jinta not to worry about Lifa. With a wink, she admitted she was beginning to like the girl. Jinta reflected on Lifa's personality, noting how Quina seemed more mature. Lifa, trying to stay composed, hinted she knew something about him too. He speculated on Quina's age, reasoning that elves matured slower due to their long lifespans. However, Quina's sudden shift in expression cast a chill. Her intense aura silenced the conversation. Lifa, alarmed, quickly denied any hidden meaning. Jinta realized he had unknowingly stepped into dangerous territory. Jinta arrived at the Logro Adventurers Guild, but remained stuck at the lowest rank. Despite his prior feats, the system required him to complete 10 basic quests to rank up, seeking action. Jinta asked for a fighting quest. The clerk suggested a request from the Merchant Guild, which was under threat. The quest involved defeating goblins attacking transport routes. However, it required a team, prompting a nearby girl to register as an adventurer too. Elf Girl offered her support, expressing deep devotion and willingness to follow him in any role. Another girl, watching the interaction, felt flustered and frustrated, unsure if she could keep up with the embarrassing affection. As the elf girl eagerly offered to register, she insisted on taking the quest with Jinta alone, leaving the other behind without hesitation. Lifa, flustered yet determined, shouted her decision to become an adventurer too, unwilling to be left out. By the time Jinta returned, he confirmed that the quest had been accepted, with all 3 of them included as party members. A rivalry sparked between the girls, while one questioned Lifa's combat ability. Lifa admitted she joined just to stay close to Jinta. Although still powerless, Lifa received Jinta's trust. With his reassurance, the group agreed to move forward together, uncertain but united. As the group prepared for departure, Jinta hesitated, unsure if he needed to change. Quina commented on his kindness toward Lifa, catching him off guard. With a playful wink, Quina clarified that the preparations weren't for themselves, they were solely for Lifa's sake. She then led them to a training spot, explaining it was the ideal place for rapid growth, even though it was her first time visiting too. Inside, they discovered a gacha facility. Quina pointed toward the item machine, eager to show its purpose. Jinta pulled a rare cleric staff perfectly suited for Lifa, who lacked combat skills but could now support the party. Quina cheerfully praised the deal they got at the gacha store, amazed by the price. Jinta, however, questioned her enthusiasm. Lifa, reacting strongly, called Quina nafe for trusting the results so easily, revealing her own doubts about gacha systems. Her frustration grew as she explained that winning great items wasn't simple. Her firm tone reflected past struggles and disappointment. Teasingly, revealed that Lifa's luck stat was the lowest possible, equating it with misfortune. The remark embarrassed Lifa further. Fired up by the insult, Lifa challenged Quina to a gacha duel, determined to prove her luck could beat the odds. Confidently, Quina claimed she could transform their funds into a pile of riches, boasting her skills at the gacha. Following Lifa's instructions, she stepped forward, paid the clerk, and activated the lever, while others watched in curiosity. After the spin, Quina returned with a heavy expression. Jinta casually asked about her result, sensing something went wrong. Disappointed, she revealed a mix of odd and rare items, though none matched what she truly wanted: the staff. Jinta praised her luck anyway, though Quina felt her haul was subpar. Jinta reassured her that compared to Lefa's usual results, It was practically a jackpot. Jinta hinted that Lefa's gacha results would speak for themselves. Moments later, she returned, trembling, clutching something ominous. Lefa had drawn a cursed set of grotesque items, including a sinister doll, leaving everyone horrified. As she approached to hand over the doll, panic spread. No one wanted to be cursed next. At the reception desk, staff quietly read a report from headquarters warning of a dangerous anomaly, someone labeled the gacha destroyer. The profile described a black-haired youth who struck jackpots with just 1,000 rin every time. Brushing it off with a smirk, one attendant dismissed the description as fantasy. Surely, no such absurdly lucky person could exist. Their skepticism shattered when a familiar face walked in, holding out payment with a calm smile in a single spin. He pulled an ultra-rare staff. Panic set in. The staff scrambled, praying Lefa had enough gear to survive alongside a man who bent probability to his will. While walking through the bustling town, Jinta spotted Lefa struggling to get attention. She clutched a strange doll, visibly distressed. Approaching her, he handed over the staff he had just acquired. Lefa, still troubled, admitted the doll wouldn't sell, no matter how hard she tried. Realizing the curse might be the issue, she requested the staff and prepared to test its purification skill. Magic began to swirl as Lefa invoked a sacred incantation. A radiant glow gathered at the staff's tip, enveloping the cursed doll in light. Moments later, a powerful beam descended. As the curse broke, the doll roared, softly transformed and freed, bathed in healing light. The curse lifted, and the doll returned to a harmless, innocent form. Lefa sighed in relief, softly praising it for behaving. Watching from nearby, Jinta confirmed the staff's power worked perfectly. With this, Lefa could now serve as a dependable support member. Later, the group reviewed their party roles, Jinta at the front, Quina guarding the middle, and Lefa as the rear support. Quina, holding a priest robe from an earlier draw, asked if she could give it to Lefa. Jinta approved the offer without hesitation. Although Quina liked the robe, she admitted it didn't fit her well. Jinta's reaction was awkward as Lefa silently accepted her fate. Jinta quickly apologized as Quina scolded him for staring too much. The awkward moment unfolded in the middle of a public street. She teased him further, suggesting he could take a better look once they returned to the inn. Jinta was flustered but intrigued. Later he asked if Lefafa had tried on the robe. She answered hesitantly, showing only her shoes at first. With quiet steps, Lefa revealed herself. The robe fit her surprisingly well, drawing smiles and compliments from both Jinta and Quina. Still uncertain, Lefa worried the skirt might be too short and asked Jinta for his honest opinion. After a thoughtful pause, Jinta gave his honest opinion, assuring Lefa that the outfit looked fine. Lefa brightened, satisfied with the approval. She found the outfit cute and was eager to keep it on. With everyone prepared and morale high, the team finalized their formation and confidently set out on a mission to hunt goblins. While the team gathered at Leffen Plain, concern spread as Hai was nowhere in sight. Lefa speculated she may have wandered back to the lakeside forest, but something felt off. Elsewhere, Hai faced danger. Goblins had surrounded her, and a fierce dragon stood at the center of the chaos, lashing out at the attackers. Without hesitation, Jinta sprang into action. Clutching his weapon, he dashed toward the battle. Eyes focused ahead, the dragon unleashed a powerful assault, throwing goblins into disarray amid clouds of dust and raw force. Standing beside the beast, Jinta witnessed its overwhelming strength as enemies scattered in defeat. Rejoining the group, Hai appeared safe and unharmed. Relieved, Lefa praised the young dragon's strength, thankful for its natural power, despite its small size. As they assessed the aftermath, the team discovered several core stones proof of goblins, defeated by Hai Chan. Lefa tried to count, surprised by the number. Jinta celebrated the progress, gently stroking Hai Chan's head. The group had completed half the quest, but more challenges likely remained ahead. In the distance, a new goblin horde approached. Adventurers rushed forward, weapons drawn, ready to intercept the threat. The goblins countered fiercely, forcing the defenders to brace for another intense battle. One of the adventurers found himself overwhelmed, his stance faltering as goblins lunged from both sides. Panic crept into his expression. Jinta arrived just in time. With a single sweeping strike, he sent shockwaves through the battlefield, hurling the goblins away and creating a brief moment of calm. Seizing the chance, the elf mage stepped forward, casting a precise wind spell that knocked the remaining goblins off balance. Arriving late, watched the action unfold. Flustered, she tried to catch up while shouting from the sidelines. Meanwhile, near the wagon, a goblin tried stealing supplies. The adventurers quickly reacted to protect the goods. Lifa launched herself into the air, bringing her staff down against the goblin's shield. The impact rang out with force, but her opponent held its ground. A tense standoff followed as both stared at one another. Lifa's expression sharpened, realizing the goblin wasn't backing down. Suddenly, Hebri appeared behind her. Sensing her distress, the dragon stood firm, eyes glowing in response to the danger. With a roar, Hai unleashed a powerful breath attack, forcing the goblins to scatter. The sheer force startled even the adventurers, alarmed by the blast. Jinta shouted for Hai to stop before things escalated further. As the goblins began to retreat, the group realized they were abandoning the wagon and supplies. Jinta quickly assessed their escape path, suspecting it led to the goblins' hideout. The group agreed to pursue them. With renewed purpose, Jinta, Lifa, and their allies prepared to chase the fleeing enemies into unknown territory. In the heart of the forest, Jinta and his party searched for the goblins' hideout. Shadows stretched between trees, and a sense of unease hung in the air. They soon stumbled upon wreckage-broken carts, shattered crates, and abandoned weapons scattered across the ground. Signs of a recent attack were everywhere. As Jinta moved forward, his foot struck a buried spear, throwing him off balance. The others quickly turned, sensing danger. From the underbrush, elite goblins emerged, more formidable than any they had faced before. Without hesitation, the group assumed formation. Quina readied her defense, Lefa prepared healing spells, and Hai stood by, waiting to charge. With the team ready, Quina gave the signal to begin. Jinta charged forward on Hai Chan's back, weapon drawn and eyes locked on the enemy. In the chaos of battle, Lefa tried to stay calm. She repeated her training in her mind but froze as a goblin approached from behind. Reacting just in time, she swung her staff and struck the goblin with force. Quina called out, warning her not to lose focus. Meanwhile, Jinta cut down his opponent effortlessly. He moved with confidence, barely fazed by the goblin's aggression. Suddenly, Hai tensed. Jinta noticed and turned, sensing that something even more dangerous was near. From the shadows, a towering goblin emerged, clad in heavy armor and radiating power. It stood taller and stronger than any seen before. Magic struck its body, but the attack shattered harmlessly. The creature didn't flinch, shrugging off the spell like nothing. Quina identified the armor as one used by high-ranking druids. The group realized their opponent wasn't just strong, it was equipped with looted, enchanted gear. Jinta hesitated, confused by the terminology, but noted the goblin's fine armor, likely stolen from fallen merchants. Recognizing the threat, Quina urged retreat. The party prepared to fall back, wary of the goblin's overwhelming strength. Standing over the fallen goblins, Jinta surveyed the aftermath. His calm expression masked the force he had just unleashed. Determined to end the threat, he voiced his intent to wipe out the entire nest that day, unwilling to risk more destruction to the plains. Quina hesitated, but Lefa reminded her of Jinta's past victory over a behemoth. That alone was proof of his strength. With Hai behind him, Jinta reassured the group. Unless something worse than a behemoth appeared, they had nothing to fear. Despite his confidence, Quina and Lifa grew self-conscious. Jinta quickly comforted them, reminding them their support made him stronger. Jinta insisted on taking the lead, determined to shield Quina and Lifa from harm. His serious tone left both girls stunned, moved by his words. Quina embraced him tightly. Lifa laughed, touched by the gesture, though slightly worried. The team prepared to advance again. With their spirits high, they pressed deeper into the woods for the sake of the plains. Suddenly, a shadow loomed ahead. Behind a group of goblins, a towering armored figure emerged from the mist. Following a successful quest, the party settled into a quiet clearing. The girl relaxed against the dragon's large frame, surrounded by supplies and a chest of recent loot. With staff in hand, she cast a soothing spell, her expression calm and focused. The creature let out a contented growl as the pain faded. Acknowledging her progress, her companion smiled. She responded with pride, clearly growing more confident in her abilities. Turning to the dragon, the boy offered a playful apology and promised a well-earned reward once the task was over. Their laughter echoed through the woods as light-hearted teasing brought the day to a cheerful close. Jinta wiped the sweat from his face, caught off guard by the heat and exhaustion. Nearby, the dragon fluttered playfully, while the others watched in confusion. The group reached a wide clearing deep within the forest. Surroundings hinted they might have entered an uncharted area. Observing the shift in atmosphere, one of the girls noted how the air grew denser and harder to breathe. Sudden tremors disrupted the silence. Trees rustled, and tension surged through the group. Everyone froze, eyes widened as a powerful presence approached, shaking the ground beneath their feet. A massive figure stepped into view, shaking the earth with each stride. the Goblin King, armed and towering, loomed over the party, his stats overwhelming. Jinta froze in shock as the enemy charged. Lifa pulled the others back, recognizing the threat immediately. With one swift motion, the Goblin King launched their dragon companion through the air, crashing into the distance. As panic spread, Jinta stood firm. The enemy raised its weapon, but he refused to retreat. Seizing the moment, Jinta countered with a powerful strike, catching the Goblin King by surprise. While the others prepared their magic, Jinta stood calmly within a glowing summoning circle, blades ready and eyes locked ahead. Without hesitation, he unleashed a devastating attack, sending a torrent of dark energy directly toward the Goblin King. The explosion stunned the others. Jinta admitted he had tried to restrain it, but the magical force overwhelmed even his control. After the blast faded, the group lay scattered across the battlefield, drained from the impact. As they recovered, concern turned to Hai-chan, who remained motionless, caught in the spell's destructive aftermath. Jinta scanned the area, puzzled. He was sure Hai had landed nearby, but she was nowhere in sight. Kneeling down, he explained to a nearby girl that he was looking for Hai-chan, though her sudden disappearance made little sense. A small voice called out from behind. Jinta turned around, confused by the unfamiliar sound. Standing before him was a mysterious, cheerful girl with horns. Her appearance caught everyone off guard. Without warning, she leapt into his arms, calling him master, leaving Jinta completely stunned and speechless. To everyone's shock, the horned girl proudly introduced herself as Hai-chan, her voice and smile confirming the strange transformation. A young girl with horns and wings appeared before the group, her features drawing immediate recognition, trying to recall the events. She mentioned being blown up and crashing into something unfamiliar. The entire situation remained unclear, even to her. During the impact, an odd liquid had entered her mouth, a detail that might have triggered the transformation. Soon after, her body began changing, taking on this strange new form. Jinta, still processing everything, stood silently in disbelief. To help her, one of the girls wrapped a cloak around her small frame. Though movement was difficult, she was promised proper clothes. Soon Jinta pointed to a broken box nearby, confirming it once held the strange liquid that Hai drank. On closer inspection, they found several vials, leading to the suspicion that the liquid might be a drug that transforms monsters into humans. Its presence suggested it had been stolen. Hai was examined for symptoms. She touched her face and checked her body, responding curiously to their questions about her condition. Grinning, she declared she felt nothing at all. Jinta, flustered, urged her to cover up. With no immediate solution, they agreed to wait. Jinta hoped the drug would eventually wear off. With the enemy boss defeated, the group decided to return to town and report their success. Relief filled the air after a long battle. In town, they visited an appraiser to examine a mysterious cluster of core stones. The old man seemed intrigued by the dense material. Jinta clarified they needed only 20 cores inspected for the report. The appraiser acknowledged the request, estimating it would take some time. Hai curiously observed the appraisal process, her eyes fixed on the man's feathered pen as it moved across parchment. Amused by her interest, the appraiser asked her thoughts. She called it strange, yet interesting, while Jinta apologized for her behavior. While examining a stone from the Goblin King's remains, Jinta pondered whether it was truly a core stone. Curious, he asked about Quina and Lifa's whereabouts. He soon learned they had gone to the children's clothing section, where they were enthusiastically urging He to try on a new outfit. Jinta arrived just as a commotion began. The shopkeeper looked on, puzzled, as Hai was swept away in a whirlwind of dress-up excitement, dressed in a frilly doll-like outfit. Hai stood still, clearly uncomfortable as the others showered her with praise. Costume after costume followed. Despite her resistance, they couldn't stop. Hai had become their unwilling dress-up model. Exhausted, Hai reported to Jinta that Quina and Lefa had forced her into repeated outfit changes. They frantically denied any ill intent, pleading for forgiveness. Despite the ordeal, Hai-chan's mood quickly shifted. Admiring herself in the mirror, she declared she looked like a dragon. Princess Jinta couldn't help but agree. Amused, he decided to buy the dress for her. As he lifted her up, she squirmed and giggled from the ticklish sensation. The group left the shop together. With their quest complete, they prepared to submit the report to the guild. Their footsteps echoed cheerfully down the cobblestone road, marking the end of a lively day. Excited by the bustling streets, Hai twirled around in her new dress. The vibrant sights of the city filled her with wonder as she explored it for the first time. She admitted she'd always waited outside before, never experiencing the city's charm. Being with her master now made her genuinely happy, leaving the others feeling quietly guilty. Suddenly, her stomach growled loudly, weak from hunger. She clutched her belly, claiming she might collapse. Jinta asked what she wanted to eat. Taken aback, Hairi shyly responded with a simple smiling. Jinta encouraged her. With a nod, she made her choice. Hai-chan, cheerful and sincere, declared her craving for goblin meat, surprising the group with her unusual appetite. The others froze. Faced with stunned silence, she quickly reconsidered, while the group awkwardly accepted her apology and moved on. Gratitude lit up the girl's face as she beamed at Jinta, her joy sincere and disarming. He silently vowed to protect that smile. Surrounded by praise, Jinta scratched his head, modestly accepting the compliments. Clearing the goblin nest had brought unexpected relief to the town. Talk shifted to rewards and relaxation. With the mission done, some suggested splitting profits, while others leaned toward sharing a meal. Before a decision was made, one girl excitedly proposed heading to the item casino, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Their plans paused when a new request surfaced: an urgent job with a staggering reward, too serious to ignore. The group reviewed the details of the request. Despite months of searching, no one had found the missing man, and now the reward had grown considerably. Speculation followed. Rumors spread that the man, Rein, had been working on a secret drug, financially backed by a powerful client. He had vanished 6 months earlier, leaving behind no trace. Suspicion lingered, especially with his research disappearing alongside him. One girl's frustration boiled over. She couldn't ignore the injustice of someone stealing vital findings. Determined, Jinta declared his decision. He would take the quest and uncover the truth himself. Jinta examined the file carefully. The man named Rein looked ordinary. Nothing stood out beyond his age and glasses. With only a name and face, Jinta voiced his doubts. Tracking someone with such little information seemed hopeless. Just as hope waned, the horned girl stepped forward. She recognized him. He had once lived in her master's home. Surprise filled the air. They confirmed the connection, recalling times he visited the estate regularly. Further memories emerged. Rein often brought gifts from the forest, like panagos, leaving no doubt in her mind it was truly him. Jinta listened carefully as the girl explained Rein had left the forest just days before her master arrived. Although no one knew where he went, Jinta saw hope in how recently Rein had vanished. Searching the nearby house might reveal something. Their journey brought them to a wooden cabin tucked between trees, sunlight breaking gently through the forest canopy. As the group admired the place, they playfully argued over who the house truly belonged to, eventually agreeing it was everyone's home. Later, a quiet moment sparked questions. The girl, Hai-chan, couldn't recall how long she'd lived there, or anything about her parents. Hai quickly drifted to sleep in the arms of her companion, worn out from the day's talk. Elsewhere, Jinta uncovered a diary belonging to Rein among the bookshelves. He scanned the pages, hoping for answers, anything to explain the mystery. But what he read changed everything. With a heavy tone, Jinta decided to abandon the quest. Jinta discovered that Mr. Rein had been detained in a laboratory by the Merchant Guild and coerced into creating a mysterious drug. According to the journal, the drug was a potent anesthetic meant to subdue both monsters and humanoids. During the experiments, the guild captured a female fire dragon and her eggs at Mount Nail to test the drug's effects. Shockingly, Hai and her mother were among the test subjects used for these brutal trials. Although Hai was still unhatched, her mother suffered repeatedly as Mr. Rein resisted the guild's cruel demands. With the drug complete and Hai-chan's egg in hand, Mr. Rein made a desperate escape from the laboratory. He went into hiding in a secluded house where he quietly raised and protected the unborn dragon. Troubled by rumors of a search notice, he made the difficult decision to flee the forest, hoping to shield Hai from danger. The journal's final entry, written 2 weeks ago, marked the moment he vanished without a trace. Completing the quest now would mean handing Rein over to the very guild that exploited him. Jinta firmly refused to betray the man who had risked everything to protect Hai-chan's future. He admitted his decision to abandon the quest, knowing it might seem selfish but necessary. To his surprise, Quina warmly agreed, expressing her support with a smile and calling him by name. Before he could respond, a sudden tremor jolted the room, catching both of them off guard. Realizing the disturbance came from below, Jinta rushed downstairs, fearing the guild had discovered their location and shouting for Lifa and Hai-chan. Lifa appeared atop the balcony, clinging tightly to a startled dragon form of Hai-chan. Flustered and anxious, she quickly offered to explain everything that had just occurred. She admitted, she thought Hai was still in her smaller form, only to realize too late that the effects of the drug had worn off, returning her to dragon form. Suddenly, an external force activated. An unknown voice commanded a portal to open. just outside the house. Jinta reacted swiftly, launching Hiei into the air away from danger as enemies lay scattered below. After safely retrieving Hiei from the item box, the group realized they had avoided destroying the house thanks to its unique storage magic. While reading further, Lifa uncovered the truth about the Alatis Merchant Guild and their dark dealings in monster trafficking. As the discussion turned to Hiei-chan's mother, concern grew over what remained unresolved in Mr. Rain's notes. His diary confirmed her location still imprisoned in a cage somewhere on Mount Nail. Determined, Leifa expressed her desire to rescue the mother and reunite her with Hiei-chan. As Jinta and the others waved goodbye, Leifa stood puzzled by his sudden departure. She ran after them, only to learn they were heading to Mount Nail without her. Jinta revealed their mission to rescue Hiei-chan's mother, prompting Leifa to quickly join the unexpected rescue adventure. Preparing for a journey, Jinta and the others realized their mount couldn't carry 3 people. Leifa, anxious and hesitant, was chosen to be stored instead. With little ceremony, Jinta opened the item box and forcefully tossed Leifa into the void despite her protests. Inside the item box, Leifa fumed, shouting in frustration at the rough treatment she received. Jinta casually sealed the box, remarking on her attitude, while the others observed her items listed neatly within. Leifa had simply lost a game of rock paper scissors, sealing her fate as luggage for the trip. With Leifa stored away, Jinta encouraged the group to continue the journey. Koina praised her friend's sacrifice, calling it noble. Moments later, Jinta noticed a few emergency food items were missing. Suspecting Leifa was secretly consuming them from inside the item box, he shouted in disbelief. The supplies continued to dwindle, confirming his suspicion. Koina and the dragon found it amusing, while Jinta grew concerned about their pace. Riding swiftly across the landscape, they searched for the right path. Jinta asked Koina for guidance as they scanned the surroundings. Eventually, a mountain came into view. With relief, Koina pointed ahead, and the dragon picked up speed. As night approached, Jinta decided they should set up camp at the base of the mountain. Curious about Leifa's condition inside the item box, Jinta cautiously opened it, hoping she hadn't consumed all their stored food. While preparing to retrieve her, he tugged at something unexpected. A startled reaction from inside followed, warning him not to pull so carelessly. Clothes flew out of the box before Leifa herself appeared with a thud. Jinta stood still, puzzled by what had just happened. Emerging in disarray, Leifa glared at him, cheeks flushed in frustration. Jinta muttered a quiet apology, realizing his timing couldn't have been worse. Jinta tried to explain the misunderstanding, flustered by how things looked. Koina teased him, suggesting she'd gladly assist if that was truly his intention. Meanwhile, Leifa demanded her skirt back after realizing it had been accidentally stored. Jinta, still apologetic, fumbled with the item box. Later that evening, a quiet fire crackled between them. The group settled down to rest before tomorrow's climb. As the flames flickered, Jinta reflected on their journey. He wondered aloud if the dragon's mother was really on the mountain. Watching Hiei gaze at the peak, he concluded she must be. Her constant focus on the mountain said it all. Jinta explained that Hiei had been sensing something for a while. The group realized the dragon was likely responding to her mother's presence nearby. Staring at the mountain under moonlight, Jinta silently promised Hiei they would reach the summit. Elsewhere, a tense meeting unfolded. Yahello, an executive of the Alatis Merchant Guild, expressed frustration over the lack of news about Friedman. One of his subordinates reported that even their experimental goods had been stolen by goblins. Despite setbacks, Yahello wasn't ready to abandon his plans. Speaking to a cloaked figure named Master Meld, he insisted the fire dragon still held value. The morning sun lit their path as Jinta and his companions resumed their climb toward the mountain's peak, determination visible in every step. Climbing grew harder by the minute. Jinta led the way while the others struggled to keep up. Suddenly, a misunderstanding sparked. Leifa mistook a comment for an insult, her frustration exploding over the comparison with a cliff. As they reached a clearing, Jinta spotted a large cage embedded into the mountain. The group speculated it could be the dragon's prison. At last, confirmation came. Inside the bars, resting quietly, was Hiei-chan's mother, finally found after their long and winding journey. Jinta calmly confirmed to Hiei that the dragon inside the cage was indeed her mother. The little dragon looked on, uncertain and emotional. Drawing closer, Hiei softly called out. The team grew tense as they noticed the mother dragon was unresponsive and visibly unwell. Analyzing her condition, Jinta read her status screen. She was suffering from paralysis, confusion, and fatigue. Without warning, the dragon stirred violently. Her eyes glowed with aggression, and Jinta shouted for everyone to move back. A powerful roar erupted from the cage. As the ground shook, the group scattered in panic, realizing the reunion wouldn't be peaceful after all. The The mother dragon roared without warning, forcing Jinta to react swiftly. He braced himself, weapon in hand, as Hai panicked behind him. A devastating blast of fire surged from the cage. Jinta countered it with his own skill, shielding the others from the powerful dark flame. With the explosion finally neutralized, Jinta explained he had just barely managed to cancel the attack. He deduced that the dragon's mind was being affected by drugs. Lifa might be able to help using her purification magic if they could act in time. Before they could try, a group of enemies arrived. A soldier demanded to know who they were. Quina proudly declared their mission to rescue the fire dragon, clinging to Jinta. Lifa scolded them for not staying focused. Jinta arrived with his companions and stood before a group guarding a dragon. The air grew tense as accusations were thrown. Suspecting Jinta's group of trying to steal the fire dragon, recognition set in Jinta's identity as the feared gacha destroyer spread quickly. His reputation as a dangerous magic sword user sent ripples through the enemy ranks. Memories of destruction surfaced. Survivors from Hohin whispered about his past assault that nearly annihilated their allies. Panic spread. Jinta's current strength, an elf, a powerful dragon, shocked them all. In a rushed decision, the commander ordered the dragon's cage opened. Fearing retaliation, the enemy side regained confidence, announcing the arrival of a powerful monster tamer, Meldas. His presence was meant to tilt the odds back in their favor. Jinta and his allies were stunned. The possibility that Chai-chan's mother could be controlled sparked alarm. Tension escalated as the fire dragon emerged. Towering over the group, its presence was overwhelming, its aura fierce. Despite their earlier bravado, the enemy's forces were visibly shaken. Fear replaced their smirks as the dragon's full presence loomed. Without hesitation, Meldes prepared to seize control, unleashing magic to turn the dragon against Jinta's party. A sudden blast of fire surged from the dragon, striking Meldes head-on. The magical attack hit before he could finish casting. Panicked voices rose as the cloaked tamer stood ablaze. Calls for water echoed while Jinta observed with confusion. Smoke trailed behind as Meldas collapsed, face down, smoldering from the failed attempt. Jinta casually approached, unfazed by the chaos. Standing nearby, Jinta asked if he was all right. The girl beside him watched silently as Meld sizzled on the ground, unable to answer. Without a word, the cloaked man fled the scene, leaving everyone stunned by the unexpected retreat. The remaining group stood in confusion as Meldas fled. His allies panicked, shouting for him to stop, but he was already gone. Jinta and his group watched the retreat, bewildered. He tried to redirect attention, but the others were still recovering from the chaos. With the enemy scattered, the dragon stood calmly behind Jinta. He embraced his companion, certain no one would interrupt them now. Focus shifted to Hai-chan's mother. They discussed curing her abnormal state, but Lifa's purification skill had a limited range. Reaching her undetected was dangerous. Any wrong move could result in Lifa's death from the dragon's claws or breath. Jinta instructed Quina to take Lifa to safety, recognizing the danger of staying close to the fire dragon. When asked about his plan, Jinta calmly replied that he would try to calm Hai-chan's mother before anything escalated further. As the others evacuated, the dragon lashed out. Jinta stood firm, enduring a direct blow, showing no signs of retreat. The dragon soared upward. Jinta narrowly dodged its powerful strike, realizing the threat was far greater than expected. He noted the dragon's advantage. Unlike Hai-chan, the adult could fly, making his ground-based attacks ineffective. The fire dragon ascended, charging an attack mid-air. Jinta realized it intended to strike from above, endangering those behind him. As the dragon launched its blast, he saw its true target, his fleeing allies. Shocked, Jinta could only watch. The impact landed near Hai and the others. Debris flew as they braced for the blast. Narrowly avoiding serious harm in that moment, Hai flapped her wings. With effort, she finally took flight, carrying the girls to safety. High above the cliffs, Ai takes flight for the first time, wings cutting through the air with surprising control. Meanwhile, his companions observe from a ridge, their expressions filled with relief, confident they're now at a safe distance. They signal Hai to return and support Jinta. The dragon answers the call without hesitation. Gliding smoothly, it approaches Jinta, who greets the familiar roar with a smile of reassurance. Without missing a beat, Jinta climbs onto Hai-chan's back. Together, they take to the skies, united in purpose. Steel drawn and heart resolved, he prepares for the coming battle. Alone he struggled, but with Hai beneath him, he's ready to strike. From above, Hai unleashes a fierce breath attack toward the looming enemy. Flames spiral through the air, leaving a scorched trail in their wake. The stream of fire intensifies, roaring forward with force. Jinta holds steady on Hai-chan's back, eyes locked on the target. The enemy dragon braces itself, surrounded by swirling energy. Its posture shows no fear, only readiness. As the attacks clash, Jinta watches the scene with concern. Haichan's breath alone wasn't enough to overwhelm the opponent. Realization dawns on him, the power gap is wide. Though he fights bravely, their strength still lags behind that of a fully grown dragon. A sudden attack closes in on Quina and Lifa. Quina reacts instantly, stepping forward and casting a protective spell, forming a wall of wind to block the blast. The barrier holds just long enough, though they withstand the impact. Both girls are visibly shaken, the intensity far greater than expected. His expression shifts to worry as he spots their exhausted figures through the dust. Despite the strain, Quina urges him to focus. Their priority is clear: he must reach Haichan's mother, before it is too late. While Jinta flies forward on Haichan, explosions erupt ahead. The next battle has already begun, and time is running out. Hovering midair, Jinta realizes his dark flame has little effect against the enemy fire dragon. Attacking with fire against fire proves futile. Weighing his options, he understands a sword strike won't land with enough power unless he finds a moment to stabilize. Hai cries out, sensing his tension. Looking to his partner, Jinta prepares to ask something difficult. Hai-chan's eyes show quiet determination. Meanwhile, the girls watching from below notice Hai-chan's speed faltering. Her inexperience with prolonged flight is catching up. A new attack approaches. Jinta urges Hai to endure just a little longer as they brace for impact. With no time to spare, Jinta urges Hai to charge in. The others realize his plan to close the distance before the dragon's breath can be unleashed, but they're too slow. A torrent of fire erupts from the enemy dragon, engulfing the skies. Jinta and Hai vanish into the blast. Lifa and Quina cry out in panic, fearing the worst. Yet the enemy senses something is off. Jinta isn't where he appeared to be. From a different angle, Jinta prepares a bold maneuver. He warns Hai that what's coming will hurt. Without hesitation, he launches himself downward, blade drawn. The surprise attack lands with crushing force. Jinta reassures Hai as he strikes the enemy with the blunt side of his sword, launching them crashing into the earth. A colossal dragon lay motionless amid shattered stone, its body slumped and wings limp from the crushing blow. From afar, the girls observed the scene with cautious relief. One noticed Hai, gliding down, seemingly unharmed, her small form silhouetted against the sky. As the daughter of a fire dragon, she endured the flames with ease, earning praise from her companions, rather than brute force. Jinta relied on timing, slipping through the explosion's blind spot to strike decisively where it counted. Offering quiet gratitude, he commended Hai-chan's efforts. With a cheerful chirp, she responded, and preparations for the next challenge quietly began. With determination in her eyes, the girl stepped forward, raising her staff. She declared it was her turn and prepared healing and purification spells to support the team. Before she could begin, a tremor shook the ground. Everyone turned in alarm as something unexpected stirred beneath their feet. A sudden landslide erupted, sending rocks cascading down. The aftermath of their battle had triggered a chain reaction from the unstable terrain. Panic spread as they debated whether to escape into the item box. Fear of being buried alive made the decision difficult. Drawing his sword, he promised to clear the debris using his most powerful dark flame. Jinta instructed the group to stay back while he prepared a risky maneuver. The urgency of the situation left no room for hesitation. He summoned energy around himself, channeling every ounce of power into a single precise action. Determined, Jinta pushed further, pouring all his magical strength into the attack. His gaze sharpened, repeating the command to give even more energy to the spell. A commanding voice resonated from the sword, declaring itself the Lord of Destruction. Its presence radiated overwhelming power, filling the area with tension. The sword's power surged, ready to obliterate the obstacle, while he prepared for the next stage of battle. Jinta's patience ran thin as the sword's voice continued. He moved swiftly, warning the entity to stay silent while preparing his next action. Dark flames erupted from his blade, swirling with immense force. Every ounce of his magic surged outward, carving a path through the debris. The attack expanded, consuming the unstable ground and scattering rocks and sediment. A massive plume of destruction rose into the air. Observers watched in awe as the dark flame cut a clean swath through the terrain. Hai and the companions stood unharmed, shielded by Jinta's power. When the energy finally settled, Jinta's expression betrayed both relief and exhaustion. The mountain terrain shifted violently after Jinta's attack. Rocks and soil scattered, leaving a dramatically altered battlefield behind them. While the group observes the scene, Jinta confirms that Hai-chan's mother still hasn't recovered fully. With all status ailments cleared, the dragon is expected to wake up soon. Hearing this, The others relax, reassured by the positive outcome. A slow movement signals her awakening. The towering dragon lifts her head as her child excitedly calls out nearby. In response, the healer playfully echoes the sound, earning a puzzled yet amused glance from Jinta. The mood shifts from tense to light-hearted. As the dragon affectionately licks her child, Jinta reflects on their strong connection. It's clear she instinctively recognizes her offspring, bringing comfort to everyone. The dragon and her child exchange a few final gestures, reaffirming their plan. Their bond is strong and everything seems to be going as intended. A bright light flashes above the group as the transformation completes. Hai sobs with emotion, overwhelmed by the moment. Majestic woman appears, having taken on a humanoid form. She calmly states that she learned everything through her child's memories. With deep gratitude, she bows to the group, apologizing for her past behavior and thanking them for protecting her daughter. The gesture catches everyone off guard. Jinta, flustered, urges her to lift her head as the others watch in surprise. Jinta's courage and skill earn high praise from the dragon mother. She expresses gratitude for entrusting her daughter to someone capable of fighting alongside the dragon tribe. Humbly, Jinta shifts credit to Hai-chan, calling her a kind and hardworking girl who supported them just as much. Recognizing this truth, the dragon mother entrusts her daughter's care to them once more. Although she understands it's best for children to be with parents, she chooses to step back. Hai stands silently, stunned by the unexpected turn of events. Ultimately, Jinta confirms Hai will remain with them, as previously agreed with Leifa. With a gentle smile, Jinta agrees to keep the young dragon until her parents are found. His companion warmly welcomes her, easing the girl's tension. Tears swell in Hai-chan's eyes as the time to part draws near. The farewell weighs heavily on her heart. As her mother soars above, the group offers their heartfelt thanks. They praise Hai-chan's bravery and wish her a bright future. Unable to hold back, she cries out loudly. Her emotions burst forth in a final farewell. The group watches silently as Hai flies away, their voices echoing a bittersweet goodbye. The lake remained still as the fishing line dropped with no sign of a catch. A quiet farewell lingered in the air. Since that day, 7 quiet mornings had passed. Jinta remained by the dock, casting his line while memories drifted through the calm waters. From the distance, a voice gently interrupted his thoughts, calling him back as the sun began to dip behind the trees. Leifa greeted him with a smile, proudly revealing the meal she had prepared with both hands full of steaming plates. Though prone to mishaps, her dedication shone through, bringing warmth and comfort to the table and to Jinta's heart. While enjoying their meal, Leifa mentioned that supplies were running low. The peaceful mood shifted slightly as plans for a shopping trip surfaced. Jinta noted the distance to town, a half-day on foot. Without Hai-chan, travel had become a slower affair. The mere mention of that name caused Leifa to freeze. Her gaze dulled, and her expression tensed. Tears welled up before anyone could react. The emotional wave hit suddenly, and Leifa broke down at the table in a loud, chaotic fit. Though days had passed, the wound remained fresh. The others offered comfort as calm slowly returned. Leifa clung tightly to Quina, proudly declaring her affection for Hichan. Her emotions still ran deep, and the others could only watch with quiet understanding. Later that night, under the glow of the moon, Quina reflected silently. Though she didn't show it, her heart carried the same weight of longing. Jinta prepared to sleep early, thinking ahead to their trip. As he slipped under the covers, he noticed an unexpected warmth. Lifting the blanket, he found He nestled beside him, her presence mistaken for a thoughtful gesture. Without protest, he pulled her closer. The comfort of warmth, both physical and emotional, filled the room. A calm silence filled the room as the two lay side by side. Neither spoke, but comfort lingered in the quiet. Moments later, Hai appeared by his bedside. With a playful smile, she asked why he was surprised, claiming her place without hesitation. Rain fell gently outside, as Jinta recalled his own words from before. This was her home too. That memory brought a sense of clarity. Despite meeting her mother, she chose to come back, guided by what this place meant to her. Together they had shared meals, battles, and warmth. Even as a dragon, Hege saw them not as caretakers but as friends, as family. With hopeful eyes, Hege asked to stay, her small voice filled with uncertainty. The others watched, quietly moved by her sincerity. Jinta answered without hesitation, gently patting her head. Her return brought warmth to everyone, stirring quiet joy in the room. Laughter and tears mixed as the group embraced her. In that moment, the lake house felt complete again. Later, she shared what her mother told her: she needed to become human if she truly wanted to be with them. Motivated by that wish, she trained hard. Now, standing before them, she had made it real all on her own. Hari shared that her mother had praised Jinta, calling him strong and dependable. She expressed her desire to receive affection as part of her growth. Blushing, she revealed her goal to one day become a couple and eventually lay an egg, just as her mother suggested. The group froze at her boldness. Reactions ranged from silent confusion to cheerful disbelief as the night settled over the house. Arriving at the ruins of Padja, Jinta and his party stood before the ancient dungeon entrance, ready to begin their next quest. The following day, Jinta returned to town, accompanied by one of the girls. While walking the streets, they discussed the need to revisit the gacha shop once again. During their visit, a shop clerk unexpectedly approached and initiated a consultation, catching them off guard. She formally requested Jinta's help in acquiring rare items that could serve as valuable prizes. Inside the nearly empty store, she explained the dire situation without new prizes. Customer interest was fading and business was in decline. A mysterious explosion had destroyed a warehouse, one that belonged to the company supplying the shop's prized items. Jinta joked that his luck might have drained the good prizes. The group gathered to learn more, questioning if the explosion had been accidental. Witnesses couldn't explain the cause. Flames had erupted from Mount Nail and struck the warehouse. The event caught everyone by surprise, including Jinta. Fortunately, the destroyed building was empty, but all stored goods were lost in the blast. With no funds for a top exploration team, the clerk turned to Jinta, the only one strong enough to help. Burdened by guilt, Jinta wondered if his overwhelming power had caused more harm than good. Still, he and the others agreed to take on the mission themselves. Inside the dungeon, doubts surfaced. Jinta questioned whether any treasure remained in such a well-known location. However, Lifa revealed that while most believed the dungeon ended at the 7th floor, it secretly extended to the 10th. No one had ever reached that depth. Confidently, she claimed divine insight, though her companions remained skeptical of her vague explanation. Just as she pressed forward with excitement, the path ahead crumbled, endangering the group once again. Lifa stumbled as the floor gave way beneath her. Shock spread across her face as rubble fell, and the ground vanished below her feet. Just in time, Jinta caught her, pulling her away from the edge as the tiles crumbled into darkness. He warned her to stay alert in such places, and though embarrassed, she nodded quietly, acknowledging her mistake. As the tension eased, the others teased Lefa, while Jinta remained startled by how close they had come to disaster. Eventually, the party reached the dungeon's 7th floor, only to find themselves at a dead end. Though disappointed by the lack of monsters and treasure, Jinta remained attentive. Lifa insisted there was still another floor hidden nearby. Quina discovered ancient writing on a nearby wall, speculated to be a spirit letter. The group gathered, curious about its meaning. Even Lifa couldn't interpret it. Jinta stepped forward to examine the inscription, recognizing something unusual about it. While quietly investigating, he triggered a hidden mechanism. A faint click echoed through the room. Suddenly, a sealed passage opened before them. The group stood still, stunned by the unexpected revelation. The sudden activation of the hidden path left the group stunned. Lifa and Quina called out to Jinta in surprise. Curious how he understood the mechanism, they questioned his knowledge. Jinta casually admitted he could read the script. It turned out the writing was in Japanese, a language only Jinta could read, revealing a clue about hidden guardians below. The group descended into the lowest level of the ancient ruins. Dim corridors guided them to a vast chamber lined with stone pillars. As they moved deeper, an eerie sensation crept in. One of them paused, sensing an unusual presence nearby. Suspicions grew as they recalled earlier spirit warnings. They concluded that a powerful guardian was likely protecting the treasure. With sudden enthusiasm, one of the girls volunteered to confront the threat. She proudly announced her new special move, a unique skill born from her divine class, something called Goddess Punch. Revealing her past training, she explained how boxercise had evolved into a combat technique in this world. After attempting her special move, the girl stepped back, disappointed. She admitted it had no effect. Trying again, she launched another barrage of goddess punches, this time at her teammate. Recognizing the looming threat, someone urged the group to take the treasure quickly and escape. The urgency in their voice hinted at the danger still lurking nearby. Just as they began to move, a warning was shouted. A powerful presence had awakened behind them, and there was no time to react. A massive stone guardian activated, towering over the party with a thunderous voice. It labeled them intruders and prepared to eliminate them on sight. Powerful blow shattered the massive guardian into pieces, sending debris flying across the chamber. Chunks of stone fell to the ground as the defeated guardian crumbled. Yet in the distance, another golem stirred, signaling the battle was far from over. Without hesitation, the next guardian stepped forward, flames crackling across its body. Jinta stood calmly over the rubble, jokingly urging Lifa to use her special punch again. She stared at him in disbelief. Caught off guard by his composure, worried Lifa warned Jinta to stay alert. She suspected the creature was no ordinary guardian, but a relic of ancient magic craft from a lost era. The giant golem regenerated its shattered body. Recognizing its immortality, Jinta prepared to strike again, undeterred by its strength. Jinta charges into a ruined hall where a massive stone monster blocks the path. Debris falls as winged enemies descend from above, forcing him into a desperate battle. Nearby, his companions watch the chaos unfold. One of them stumbles after hitting the ceiling during the clash. Realizing the enemy is far stronger than expected, the stone giant advances, cracks spreading across its body from earlier attacks. Jinta stands firm before it, holding back his strength while the others grow increasingly worried. Determination hardens in his eyes as the situation worsens. Realizing the fight cannot continue this way, Jinta prepares to act decisively. He launches forward with sudden speed, striking the monster repeatedly. Each blow shatters more of its body, revealing that he had already formed a clear plan to end the battle. Jinta unleashes rapid strikes, sending shockwaves across the ruined hall. The stone giant staggers as its body fractures under the relentless assault, unable to counter his speed. His companions observe from a distance, realizing he attacks faster than the creature can recover. Understanding spreads among them as his strategy becomes clear. The golem attempts to rebuild itself, but cracks deepen with each impact. Jinta presses forward, refusing to give the monster any time to stabilize. A glowing crystal is revealed within the shattered body. Recognizing its importance, he reaches toward it, sensing the source of the creature's power. The magic stone rests in his hand as the giant collapses into rubble. With its core removed, the battle ends, leaving only silence and scattered debris behind. After the battle, the elf studies the strange power lingering in the ruins. She wonders how such magic could exist in a place like this. Jinta admits he knows little about ancient legends. His companions explain the old story of a hero and a demon god, linking it to the artifact. They recall that humans and spirits once united to create powerful weapons. The magic stone used by the golem is said to be one of those ancient creations. Then Jinta considers the instructions carved in spirit letters. The group realizes these relics can amplify power and awaken forgotten abilities. Testing his theory, Jinta places the stone back into the golem. The body trembles and stirs, reacting to the restored core. The golem's body begins to repair itself after the stone is returned. Jinta stands calmly before it while his companions watch in concern as the creature's power resurges. Instead of attacking, Jinta decides to experiment with the revived construct. He observes its reactions carefully, treating the situation like a test rather than a battle. He instructs Quina to move as the golem lifts her high above the ground. Shock spreads among the group as the massive creature follows his will. The reason becomes clear when ancient letters on the stone slab glow. Jinta's rewritten command binds the golem to him, marking its obedience to its new master. Jinta and his companions discover a large chest inside the ruins after gathering most treasures. The mysterious box draws their attention, suggesting something valuable remains hidden within. A massive ancient golem stands behind them, yet Jinta casually focuses on opening the chest. His calm attitude contrasts with the danger looming nearby. Inside the box, a glowing hammer appears, radiating immense power. The rare weapon reveals itself as a legendary item once used to defeat demons. Jinta studies the weapon while Quina reacts with concern. The artifact's value and destructive ability make it far too significant to be treated carelessly. Quina holds the weapon as realization spreads among the group. They understand the golem had been guarding this powerful relic all along. When Quina lifts the hammer, a strange white liquid begins to ooze from the handle. Her expression freezes as she realizes the weapon reacts strangely to her touch. Jinta observes the scene while the substance keeps dripping from the relic. Uneasiness spreads among the group as they sense the weapon resisting unauthorized hands. Ancient letters on the wall reveal the weapon's true condition. Only the one who defeated the golem is allowed to wield it, while others are rejected. Soon, the girls become covered in the sticky substance, leaving them soaked and embarrassed. The artifact's defense works to repel anyone unworthy of its power. After understanding the situation, Jinta calmly asks the golem to take the hammer. He chooses to store the troublesome relic instead of trying to claim it. The golem holds the hammer carefully, its expression unreadable as the strange substance drips away. Jinta watches quietly, relieved that the relic is no longer causing trouble. After leaving the ruins, the group walks back toward the city with the treasures they collected. Jinta assigns a small task to Haichan, while the others follow behind. Inside the guild, Quina stares at the gathered rewards in disbelief. The sheer amount of items proves how much remained hidden within the ruins. Jinta stands calmly beside her, explaining that many unexplored areas still existed. His confidence shows he expected the results from the beginning. Quina slowly processes everything while looking at Jinta. Thoughts of the reward money begin to form as she realizes the success of their expedition. Walking through the city, Jinta listens as concerns rise about the small reward. The amount seems low compared to the treasures recovered from the ruins. He calmly explains that the guild's budget was limited. Rather than arguing, he accepts the situation and decides to handle it differently. Jinta presents a necklace to Lefa, placing it gently in her hands. The item carries a special effect that can confuse enemies and protect her. Lefa examines the gift closely, surprised by its design and purpose. The gesture leaves her unsure how to react to his quiet kindness. Embarrassment mixes with gratitude as she holds the necklace tightly. Jinta looks away, pretending the moment means little, while she treasures the unexpected reward. Lefa smiles softly while holding the necklace close to her chest. Gratitude fills her expression as she quietly treasures the gift Jinta gave her. Jinta walks ahead through the city streets, planning to reunite with Quina and the others. Calm confidence shows in his steady pace. From a shadowed alley, two suspicious figures watch him pass. Their interest in Jinta suggests trouble will soon follow his journey. Several girls surround Jinta while he reads on the couch. They notice the pendant given to Lefa and become jealous. Lefa happily eats a snack while thinking about Jinta. The pendant makes her cheerful and affectionate toward her master. Later, Jinta checks the treasure they collected during their adventure. He searches carefully, hoping something valuable remains among the items. Days after the treasure hunt, Jinta walks through the house. Behind him, Lefa reacts emotionally after hearing something harsh. Early morning arrives. Lefa leaves for her village while Jinta stays home, enjoying a quiet and comfortable day. Jinta notices Lefa has been leaving the house every day. Her behavior makes him curious, but he decides not to think too deeply about it. Soon after, Jinta prepares to leave the house. He decides to spend the day completing random quests to pass the time while the others stay behind. At the guild, he learns that the request to find Mr. Rain has been abandoned. The news surprises him as he listens to the explanation. A woman explains the situation further, mentioning the culprit who attacked the Aldatus Merchant Guild and released a dragon that was meant to be sold. He leaves the guild while hearing that mercenaries have already been hired to hunt the culprit. Jinta walks through the city while thinking about his future. Staying a low-rank adventurer forever does not seem right, so he looks for a new opportunity. He arrives at the location and knocks on the door, introducing himself as an adventurer responding to the request. The door opens and a young woman appears. She invites Jinta inside, leaving him slightly surprised by the unexpected meeting. Inside the room, they sit across a table and begin discussing the request. The girl questions why Jinta came to such a place. Suspicion fills the air as she studies him carefully, wondering if he needs money or hides another reason. Jinta calmly explains that he is simply completing a quest. When she appears, her shocked expression reveals she has been hiding something. Suspicion quickly forms that she secretly visited the gacha shop and possibly lost a large amount of money. Soon after, several guards arrive at the place. One of them explains that he accepted the request connected to the situation and begins observing the surroundings. While speaking with Jinta, the guards learn that he is only a rank E adventurer. His low rank immediately lowers their expectations. The guards start discussing what to do with him. They dismiss his abilities and treat him like an amateur who cannot help much. Lefa watches their attitude with clear irritation, unhappy with how they underestimate Jinta. She steps forward angrily and declares that Jinta is far more amazing than they think, shocking everyone in the room. Her voice grows louder as she lists Jinta's achievements, including defeating a powerful behemoth and clearing an entire nest of goblins. Whispers spread among the guards. Some begin suspecting that Jinta and Lefa share a special relationship after seeing them together before. Their suspicion quickly turns into teasing. The guards jokingly assume Lefa must be Jinta's girlfriend, causing her to blush and panic. Jinta hurriedly denies the misunderstanding, explaining that he and Lefa are not in that kind of relationship. They remain inside, while the guard leaves to patrol the area. The guard still jokes about them being lovers, which embarrasses Lefa and irritates Jinta. Suddenly, a large stone creature appears in the city, smashing through buildings and causing panic. Realizing the danger, Jinta quickly moves with Lefa toward the scene. As they rush through the streets, Lefa remains flustered from the earlier misunderstanding, while sensing that something unusual is happening in the town. Along a quiet town street, Jinta walks beside a priestess, while other adventurers pass in the distance. Time alone during a quest feels unusual. After many group missions, a confident smile appears on the priestess's face as she walks beside him. She knows their companions will likely discover the truth. Eventually, soon the pair reach their residence and step toward the entrance after completing the quest. Inside the building, a cheerful girl quickly approaches them after noticing their return. Jinta reacts calmly while the priestess shows an embarrassed, playful expression as the situation becomes clear. Inside the guild residence, Jinta and his companions return from their mission. A guild member stops them and explains that someone new has arrived after they left earlier. Standing confidently before them, the girl introduces herself as Quina, the new member assigned to the mission. The priestess looks surprised by Quina's sudden appearance and questions the situation, realizing their quiet plan has already been discovered. Quina explains that she confirmed the mission with the guild and followed them here. The priestess grows irritated while Jinta awkwardly tries to respond. Meanwhile, Jinta attempts to change the subject as their other companions notice the tense scene forming around them. In the courtyard, a massive stone golem moves heavily while a small girl rides on its shoulder. The creature shakes the ground as it walks, showing its strength. Soon after, Jinta, Lifa, and Quina end up accepting the same mission together. The unexpected partnership forms naturally as they begin working as a team. Later that day, the group returns after completing their task. The guild representative praises their performance and prepares the reward for the successful mission. The guild confirms that the request originally came from Lifa, explaining how the job was arranged. As the day ends, the group prepares for the next mission, while Lifa quietly reflects on the events that unfolded. Night covers the town as Jinta walks through the street with Lifa and Quina. The quiet road is lit only by faint lights from nearby buildings. While moving through the town, the group discusses plans related to the quest rewards. Quina quickly understands the situation and calmly acknowledges Lifa's reasoning. Jinta watches the two while quietly observing the conversation. Moments later, Lifa suddenly stops and explains that she needs to leave for an important matter. She quickly asks the others to head home first, after she runs off. Jinta turns toward Quina and suggests visiting nearby shops while waiting. She smiles confidently, reminding Jinta about their earlier discussion while playfully teasing his reaction. Lifa relaxes after finishing her task while the group returns to their residence. Outside the building, a dragon calmly waits in the courtyard after releasing its human form. Inside the hall, Jinta and Quina prepare to leave again while Lifa thanks them briefly before heading out on her own. The group separates for the night. Later that evening, Lifa walks away through the city under the night sky. She leaves with confidence, but she never returns afterward. Inside the shop, Lifa asked whether the silver ring she had reserved was still available. The shopkeeper confirmed he had kept it aside, honoring her earlier promise to return. Holding the small box carefully, she felt both relief and tension rise within her chest. When the shopkeeper casually implied the ring might be meant for someone special, her composure immediately crumbled, flustered and red-faced. She struggled to maintain a calm explanation under his curious gaze. Regaining control, she insisted the purchase was merely a gesture of gratitude for help received before. Determination replaced embarrassment as she paid and secured the ring, despite his doubtful expression. Outside under the night sky, frustration lingered while she replayed the awkward exchange in her mind. Realizing time was short, Lifa hurried toward the carriage terminal, clutching the gift and hoping she would arrive before departure. Walking alone beneath the dim streetlights, Lifa was stopped by a man who gestured toward a narrow alley, insisting it would serve as a faster route. Though hesitant at first, she listened as he confidently explained that the shortcut would save her precious time on such a late night. After expressing brief gratitude, she stepped into the alley and continued forward, unaware that the same man remained behind, quietly observing her retreating figure from the shadows. Excitement soon replaced doubt as she focused on the small box she carried, thinking about the silver ring inside, and her plan to give it to Jinta beneath the crescent moon. Anticipation softened her expression while she wondered whether he would be pleased by her unexpected gift. Without warning, the path ended abruptly in a dead end filled with scattered debris, and unease slowly overtook her earlier confidence. Lifa sensed something wrong as she stepped deeper into the alley, realizing too late that she had been deliberately guided away from the main road. From the shadows, a masked man confronted her and revealed he sought revenge connected to the notorious gacha thief, using her as leverage. Understanding his intention to provoke Jinta, she firmly refused to cooperate and declared her position within the town's vigilante group. Tension escalated when he ignored her warning and moved closer, treating the situation as a game rather than a crime. Despite her resistance, he seized control of the encounter, leaving her isolated in the dark courtyard as danger closed in. In the deserted courtyard, the masked man struck decisively, forcing Lifa to the ground while his accomplice watched without concern. Collapsed against the wall, she struggled to stay conscious as they mocked her weakness and realized their plan to lure Jinta had failed. Far away, Jinta sat awake on the sofa, an uneasy feeling preventing him from resting peacefully that night. Moonlight covered the quiet house as his concern deepened, sensing something was wrong despite the silence around him. Soon after, he considered going out to check on her, while Quina approached to report that Lifa had still not returned home. Quina noticed the open door and Jinta's absence, realizing he had already rushed out to search for Lifa. Inside the quiet house, a young elf woman notices a strange letter addressed to Jinta and grows uneasy about its sudden arrival. Outside at night, another woman is urged awake while Jinta reads the letter, which orders him to come to a hideout and threatens a woman's safety. Elsewhere, the captured woman lies on a wooden floor behind iron bars, weakened and gradually losing consciousness in the dark interior. After some time, she slowly regains awareness, pushes herself upright, and steadies her breathing despite the pain in her body. Now fully awake, she looks around the barred cell, realizing she has been imprisoned in an unknown place. Footsteps echo along the stone corridor as a cloaked figure approaches the cell, carrying a bucket while the imprisoned elf senses someone drawing near. Through the bars, she recognizes the visitor as the monster tamer from Nail and questions why this person stands before her. Now the hooded figure moves past wooden crates and remarks about feeding the tamed monsters, causing the captive to stiffen in alarm. Realization strikes her as she understands monsters are kept nearby, and fear spreads across her face inside the narrow cell. At the bars, the cloaked individual kneels and extends a hand inside, while something large shifts ominously in the darkness beyond. Hunger tightens her stomach, yet she refuses the food offered through the bars while the cloaked tamer waits silently outside the cell. Despite her resistance, she bites into the bread, confusion crossing her face as she questions why she is eating in this situation. The hooded figure gently pats her head while she chews, and she stiffens in shock at the unexpected gesture. Suddenly, a man with goggles and a fur collar walks into view, observing the scene from the corridor beyond the bars. Standing before the cage, he smirks and evaluates her condition, while she sits behind the iron bars and declares her confinement unbearable. In the dim corridor, the goggled man stands before the barred cage and questions the captive about the monster tamer nearby, asserting authority over the scene. She denies knowing him, yet he smirks confidently and reveals his name as Meldas, expecting recognition from the girl inside the cell. While the cloaked subordinate watches silently, Meldas boasts loudly, declaring unwavering loyalty to a powerful figure called Raoul Hardy. Fragments of memory surface as his reputation is recalled, describing him as an elite adventurer clad in red hair and iron arm guards. With pride, Meldas emphasizes Raoul's overwhelming rank and influence, leaving the imprisoned girl stunned by the realization of her captor's connections. Before the iron bars, Meldas explains that imprisoning her is merely a tactic to lure the so-called gacha thief into their trap. Questioned about Jinta, he casually admits the request came from the A-list merchant, who wants the interfering thief captured and returned. A twisted grin spreads across his face as he describes Jinta as reckless, clearly amused by the rumors surrounding him. Gesturing dramatically, Meldas mocks stories of mountains destroyed and dragons defeated, dismissing them as exaggerated tales unworthy of belief. Turning away, he declares he will verify the truth, personally, vowing to crush Jinta himself if the rumors prove false. Meldas slams his fist forward, releasing a violent surge of magic that tears through the underground chamber and shatters the surrounding stone walls. Dust and debris rain down as he boasts about unleashing an advanced magic attack effortlessly, while the captive girl realizes his strength exceeds common sense. Blades of energy form around him as he calls out for the gacha thief to appear, confident no one could withstand such power. The ceiling collapses in a massive explosion, scattering rubble across the third basement floor and exposing the dark night sky above. Amid the falling debris, Jinta lands calmly before the cage, identifying himself as the one whose companion Lifa was kidnapped. Jinta stands beside Lifa in the ruined basement, and Meldas observes how quickly he arrived, satisfied that the kidnapping succeeded in drawing him out. Calmly assessing the situation, Jinta realizes the abduction was planned to lure him, while Meldas openly labels him the so-called gacha thief. Lifa steps forward in concern, yet Jinta signals her to remain back, choosing to confront the enemy alone without hesitation. Across the broken floor, Meldas spreads his arms and invites a fight, warning that escape remains possible, only until the battle truly begins. Without remorse, he threatens further harm toward Lifa, prompting her to glare back with anger, as tension fills the shattered chamber. Inside the shattered basement, Meldas calmly admits striking Lifa earlier, provoking Jinta, while recalling how she had been left trembling on the cold floor. Anger hardens Jinta's expression as he grips his weapon and vows to repay that cruelty without restraint, refusing to show any mercy. Without hesitation, He lunges forward at full speed, closing the distance instantly while Lifa rushes behind him despite the danger. Meldas reacts swiftly, evading the first strike and countering midair, yet Jinta pivots sharply and keeps pace, recognizing the fight will test his limits. Steel flashes as Jinta swings decisively, forcing his opponent back while Lifa watches anxiously, aware that one mistake could turn the battle deadly. Meldas slips past Jinta's defense and drives a reinforced strike toward him, exploiting a brief opening with precise timing. The blow crashes into the ground with explosive force, sending shattered stone outward as Jinta steadies himself amid the spreading impact. Seizing momentum, Meldas flips forward and smashes down again, attempting to overwhelm his opponent before he can fully recover. Standing among broken rubble, Jinta regains his balance and tightens his grip on his sword, preparing to counter the magically enhanced assault with focused resolve. Jinta stands amid broken stone, realizing he has taken serious damage for the first time. His body feels heavy, yet he keeps his distance while a healer tries to approach. Across the hall, the goggle-wearing man praises the sword's durability. Jinta lowers his arm, noticing it has gone numb. Although he cannot properly move his fingers or sense pain, he tightens his grip and steadies himself. The enemy suddenly charges, determined to end the fight. Debris scatters as he closes the distance, confident in his strength. Before the punch can land cleanly, Jinta moves forward and counters with force, driving his fist into the attacker. Silence follows. A deep crack splits the ground as the enemy collapses, defeated. The goggle-wearing man rises from the rubble, shocked that a single strike sent him flying. Jinta stands nearby, steady and silent, watching as dust falls around them. Instead of retreating, the battered opponent grins and demands more. Jinta flexes his numb arm, deciding to end the fight quickly. Suddenly, a guard rushes in with urgent news. Two strange women have appeared, asking for the man and the rescued girl. Outside, beneath the night sky, a wind elf stands calmly while a horned child sits above, observing the scene. With precise movements, the elf strikes. A blast sends a man crashing away as the horned girl watches, unimpressed by the weakness around her. The horned girl crushes a man with a casual kick, showing no need for full strength. Nearby, Jinta watches carefully, troubled by how quickly his location was discovered. Inside, tension rises, as guards are reported defeated. The goggle-wearing fighter hesitates, realizing reinforcements will not arrive. From the shadows, a cloaked woman steps forward gripping a whip. Her calm presence signals a new and more dangerous threat. The wind elf and the horned girl search the ruined area, realizing they may have arrived before their master. Bodies lie scattered as they assess the situation. Concern grows over Lifa's capture. Determined to act carefully, the elf decides they must find Jinta and rescue her without delay. Inside, a building kidnappers toy with their captive. Outside, the two girls confirm the location and prepare to move. A goblin suddenly attacks, but the horned girl crushes it instantly. The deserted town proves to be filled with demons guarding the structure. At the entrance, a cloaked figure stands with monsters and a slime. As bats scatter overhead, the girls recognize the enemy and ready themselves for battle. The horned girl and the wind elf launch a joint attack, releasing flames across the ground as goblins scatter in panic. Without slowing, the elf raises her arms and summons a powerful whirlwind, drawing enemies upward into the spinning current. Fire and wind merge into a raging firestorm, hurling goblins through the air and clearing the battlefield. As the flames fade, a cloaked enemy counters with a sweeping strike that disrupts the wind, undoing their combined technique. Suddenly, thorned vines erupt from the ground and bind the elf tightly. While she struggles against the restraints, the horned girl rushes forward to save her. The cloaked enemy intercepts the horned girl as she rushes to free the wind elf. With swift movement, he forces her back and closes the distance. A strange light spreads across the ground, forming a magic circle beneath them. The horned girl stiffens, confused as her movements slow. Realization strikes the elf, who understands the enemy's gaze carries manipulation. She tries to warn her partner before control fully takes hold. Elsewhere, Jinta drives a sharp kick into Raoul, smashing him against the bars and disrupting his rhythm. Breathing hard, Raoul recognizes the change. Jinta now tracks every motion, steadily gaining the advantage in their fight. Jinta stands silently, while his sword lies untouched nearby, the numbness in his arm still affecting him across the room. His opponent prepares to end the battle. Burning magic surges around the goggle-wearing fighter as he gathers his remaining power. Flames wrap his arm, and he commits to a final decisive punch.